these other federal agencies. And so I'm just going to run through a little sort of case study and then turn it over to Dan, who will then go for the new high-tech knowledge managers. He'll run around and explain to you what was going on behind all this. Here I am a few years ago, or somebody, looking at the challenges that we have. Of course, the information is scattered, and everybody is constrained by the limited staff, funding, and time. This is particularly true in an area like historic preservation or cultural resource management, which is not the primary mission of any federal agency. So we're not getting the big bucks that weapons systems, for instance, get. So what's going on out there with our knowledge worker who is out there in the field? And these are kinds of questions which one person dealing with a historic property might deal with. First of all, taking care of the law, that is the place historic, who do you coordinate with, technical details. This is what's going on in the people who are dealing with historic places. These kinds of questions come flying at them. As you can see, they're basically going to have to jump from one subject matter to another to work on their project. So what we want to do, of course, is to have them, help them, they're at their computer, to be able to get hold of all kinds of materials. So we want to make sure that they get what I learned when I was in the Corps of Engineers, get smart, quick stuff, as well as tutorials, expert knowledge, presentations, so that we have a place where if you have something like this evening and you want to put it right out quickly so people can get it, that we have a system that we can do that, and that there's a networking capability. Now, I'm going to give you this funny little case study, and I think it illustrates, and you're all going to say, oh, this is too simple, but I think it does illustrate, and I hope you'll enjoy it. But what we have here is a little hypothetical tale of two, those preservationists or two bureaucrats, and they work, Pat and Chris, work for the Bureau of Habitat and Healing, who just created this. You didn't hear the executive order this evening, but I just created it. And they look at questions of public health and human interaction and so forth. And their boss, Robin, as you can see here, knows that although they don't have training in historic preservation, she's so desperate that she just has to go to them and ask them to please pull together a briefing that she desperately needs that afternoon. So she has sent them this assignment that they're coming in the morning, they have about 5 hours. Please tell her what are the steps that this agency must take to support the Homeland Security request to use one of the agency's old lodges down by the creek as a communications center. This is pretty typical. You know, there are these actions going on all the time. The time is short. Somebody has to answer this mail. Somebody may not know anything about it. So we'll see what happens. So here we have Pat. And she'd heard, we had lunch together, she heard about the Historic Preservation Learning Portal. And so she goes right in and she clicks on that, the historic preservation laws, knowing that we only do in the federal government, we only do what's in law. And she quickly finds that yes, there is a tutorial that somebody put together, I think it was the Forest Service that put together, on the National Historic Preservation Act, which is what she needs. And then we have Chris over here. He, of course, decides to go in and try the Google search and immediately is confronted. And this is really true. If you type in historic preservation, anything like it, you get like 798,000 hits that you have to go through, and maybe jam preservation's in there as well as historic preservation. So he's got information overload. And then we see Pat, who uses the portal that we developed, and she finds her GIS data because we can handle these 250 different formats and other maps. And she also finds plans for this old building that was in her agency's database. And poor Chris over here, he's been surfing along through his Google list, and he's having trouble, and finally he decides to go off and talk to the general counsel. And as you can see, by 11 o'clock, Pat searched through, oh yes, and here she finds the Forest Service presentation. This section 106 is the big compliance bear out there for cultural resource managers. And she even has time to get a cup of coffee. She puts her presentation. She can modify it right there. Whereas Chris has gone off to see the council and realizes finally that he's dealing with a public law and he needs more information. And so we have Pat here, who then takes that briefing right off, makes it work for her agency. In fact, she goes back, she finds more illustrations, she can go back through HABS, which actually housed the Library of Congress. She can pick up all those photographs and information about her old building. And poor Chris, he's finally off to the library, trying to search to find more information. He finds an article, he calls the author, that's Tom, actually it's Tom King, who does a lot of work in Micronesia, so he's in Micronesia, as it turns out right now, not around help very much. And finally, through this portal, we can also find people who have similar, or have information and similar knowledge or knowledge you need. So you can email that person through the government email address. And so Pat sends an email to Brenda, who sends her more information about installation of 3D towers within steeples, you know, what all churches want to do now to make more money. And here's Chris waiting for our friend in Micronesia to call back. So as you can see, by having all this, being able to search vertically through thousands of websites and these tutorials we put up and presentations and so forth, that we have now our heroine who hands off her briefing thanks to working through the portal, and our poor Chris, who is dismayed that he hadn't pulled it all together in his performance evaluation. Of course, now. But that just gives you an idea of how the people in my field are looking to knowledge management and looking to this portal that we have developed, because what you can see is what you all know already, and that is that we've really enhanced productivity. And that's the bottom line. How can we be more productive with this little time that we have on just about every task in the federal government? Single access, this is really critical. I was finding, as all you know, lists of websites people go to. My word, these lists, I finally started some years ago a webliography because I had pages and pages of websites, and you know, where to start with all that. So there's this vertical search really helped with that. Also, what do you do when you don't know something? You want to either pick up the phone, you want to have lunch with somebody. How can you collaborate quickly on a particular problem? And in this case, we're doing a great job of reducing our operational costs. This is not only increasing the, reducing the cost of complying to regulations, but it's really making every federal agency, we've figured out that as we've spread this bill across these agencies are getting now a product worth almost $2 million, and they've put in like, what, 8%? 2.5% per agency, something sort of ridiculous, in that we've been able to really share this, and so every agency is coming in. It's not only the federal agencies that are coming in on this. Canada is working with me now. We are picking up all the Canadian websites. I hope in Mexico, in fact, just this afternoon we have a new contact in Mexico, so we're going to get more Mexican cultural resources sites on this. When the experts came in from the museums in Baghdad just a year ago, I said, well, what can we do to help you? They said, let us get hold of that portal so we can get technical information. And so we're going to be working now so that they can use their Arabic keyboard and access through to their websites and to others that they need information on. So this is becoming the global portal for people interested in the preservation of historic places. And their costs are just basically the cost of their laptop. The governing team is really interesting to work with a community of practice. And we really work with them face-to-face. We know these people. We just had a luncheon together the other day with them. We had a birthday party for one of the members. And these are the agencies that provide funds so far. Now, I'm out, as I just explained to somebody earlier, I basically wait until the end of the year money begins to be reprogrammed, and then I'm going after that money, so that in August and September, I am out there talking to agencies about migrating some of that money into this program.